Hey, the Pavetta rifle. Drop the gun! Oh, shit! I'm hit. I'm okay. But I'm not gonna die.
Welcome to Badges, Bullets, and Blunders. I'm the host, Travis Harless. Before we get started, if you'd like to support this podcast, go check out our friends at Slick Sleeves Syndicate. Never forget where you came from. Today's guest is Leo from That Leo Guy podcast. Leo,
Good morning.
hey, good afternoon, Leo. How are you doing?
Good.
Good, man. Why don't you tell us about yourself? How long have you been in law enforcement? What'd you do before you got into law enforcement? And what are some of the different assignments and places that you've worked as a law enforcement officer?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I got into law enforcement in 2009 as a corrections officer. Probably the worst job I've ever had, as somebody that also worked at Blockbuster when that existed and stocked shelves and rewound tapes. And various handyman jobs.
Yeah.
Correction,
What were
I
you
knew
Where'd you do corrections at?
Virginia. So
Okay.
I was at a regional jail. We pooled from like 5 city and county jails, and I found out while I was working there that they could basically choose the inmates that they sent to the regional jail. So
Oh, yeah.
we got dudes that would cut themselves to go to
Yeah.
the hospital.
Yeah. You don't send your
try
good
to
behavior
masturbate
inmates.
What's that?
You don't send your good behavior guys there.
No, the dudes that were trying to masturbate on the nurses at pill call,
Yeah.
spitting on guards, throwing feces. Yeah. So we had all these menaces that were just like fighting
Yeah.
and
The
it was
best
a
of the
new
best.
jail. Like I worked there when it opened. So there were all these problems and there was a bunch of new correctional officers. Our pill pass was always wrong. A lot of them get specialty meals and they were always messing them up. They're trying to like feed the Muslims pork and all kinds of madness.
Nice.
Yeah, so the inmates already were bad, and then we were making it worse. They were
Yeah.
missing rec because we couldn't count. We'd like count wrong and
Yeah.
mess up the count. So I did that for a year. Like 6 months in, I was like, dude, I got to get out of here. It was real cold. It was in the mountains in Virginia, and so I would like go into work and have to scrape my windshield and
Mhm.
the sun would be down, and then when I left I'd have to scrape my windshield and the sun was down again.
Oh, yeah.
So
Damn.
it is not great for me who likes being outside.
Yeah.
So I started applying for police departments in the South, just all over the South. I was like, hey, I don't really have any ties. Let's go to Miami, Dallas, somewhere warm.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I ended up getting on in Savannah, Georgia, with Savannah Chatham Metro Police as a combined city county department.
Hmm.
Got on there in 2010, did that academy, did their little field training, and then
So that department, it was 2 separate departments and then they became one? Is
yeah,
that
and
right?
it has actually since demerged, and it's again it demerged while I was there and became Savannah
Really?
PD and Chatham County PD again. Yeah.
Wow. Was that like a contentious divorce between the two sides or?
It was a politics thing. I mean, we didn't have problems. I don't really like invisible line, so when it was combined, like obviously all the city crime spills into the county, and
Yeah.
so it kind of simplified things.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously there was some problem. I think the county felt like they weren't getting the service they needed because most of the crime was in the city. So
Oh,
they
okay.
tended to put a more dense collection of police officers, and some of the county areas were like, hey, like we're waiting 15 minutes on a 911 call. And
Okay. So the separation was driven by the voters, so the constituents?
I think so, but or the county commission, I'm not really
Yeah.
sure.
Gotcha. And how long were they combined for?
I'm sorry.
How long were they combined, the 2 departments?
They were already combined when I got there. I'm not sure when that happened, but they demerged probably 2017.
Okay. Gotcha.
So at least 5 or 6 years. I think it was like 10 years though.
Nice.
So I got on there. I was put on patrol, obviously. After not that long on patrol, they created this task force. We were having like these strings of home invasions at night. Like these 4 dudes they'd go kick indoors like regularly and basically take the family hostage and they were doing these crazy home invasions. So they were like, this has got to stop. So they grabbed me and my buddy, who were like, more proactive officers, and they were like, hey, can y'all deal with this. And so they put this supervisor on who was awesome, and they put us two, they gave us one unmarked car. It was like a 1995 black Nissan Maxima, a piece of crap, perfect. And
Perfect.
then one patrol car, and then a third officer could sign up for overtime. And we would basically tell them, like, hey, bring your own car or jump in with us or whatever. So the supervisor was, he knew what the mission was, and he knew that we would be ADD and we would
Mhm.
stray.
Yeah.
We saw
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If we saw a dude with a pistol walking in a gas station, we'd be like, let's see what the fuck going on.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
so he was very strict with us about basically no traffic stops, no subject stops if it wasn't for a purpose.
Yeah.
One night, man, I was behind this car and it was just so DUI. He was going like 70 and a 35 and he was all over the road.
Yeah.
I pulled him over and he was just wasted. It was this old dude like riding through the hood, just blasted. And I'm like, man, I can't let him go. So I'm like, dude, can you call somebody? What's the deal? He's like, I'm not even drunk. You know what you're talking. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you're wasted. Like, I'm trying to save your ass here. And so he's like, I gotta pee right now. And I was like, dude, if your dick leaves your pants, you gotta go to jail. Like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
give you an out. Like, we're in the
Yeah.
middle of the city. And he just whips it out and pees on the side of the road. And I'm like, ah, crap. So I handcuff him, take him to jail. I don't even charge him with DUI. I didn't have standardized field sobriety. So I took him to jail for public intoxication and indecent exposure.
Yeah.
And that sergeant like yelled at me. He's like, dude, what are you doing? You're off track.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, he was about to hit somebody head on. He's like, no, home
Yeah.
invasions. Do your
Yeah.
job. So he kind of guided us how to develop sources, how to do intelligence-based policing. They didn't call it that back then, but how to be focused.
Mhm.
He'd been a homicide detective like 15 years, so he knew how to kind of be on track. So we ended up catching those guys, identifying them after like a month or two, and getting that group. And then our precinct commander was like, well, let's not put these two guys back on patrol. At the time, people were like cutting air conditioner units off the side of houses for the
Mhm.
copper, like
Okay.
every night, and
Yeah.
businesses
Yeah.
like just taking these people had cages around them. If you didn't have a cage, they were just stealing
Yeah.
them.
There's methamphetamine. What is it? Amphibians.
Yeah.
Methamphibians.
Methamphibians.
Catalytic converters and
Yeah.
AC units. It was mostly AC units. They were just taking them.
Yeah.
And people were pissed. Like imagine waking up and like your AC unit's gone. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. When you live in Georgia.
Yeah, right. It's not
Montana,
acceptable.
yeah.
So we started working to identify, who that was, and we ended up catching one of them, and then finding uh, his best friend. Actually, we got in a foot chase with the first guy, and I was chasing them, and I went over a bunch of fences. I was getting tired, and turns out his best friend also drives an old school black Nissan Altima.
Okay.
So
Well, of course.
Buddy Rob was pulling up in that, trying to like take over the foot chase, and I came like out of an alley and I see this dude I'd been chasing jumping out of our UC car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't really process
Yeah. What
why
is
he'd
going
be
on here?
climbing out of it. So he jumped in with my buddy Rob, and Rob was like, I didn't know. He was like, I almost shot him because he just
Yeah.
jumped. I thought he was carjacking me. So I stuck the gun in his face. I said, get the fuck out. And he jumped out and started running again. And so I was winded. Rob's like a track star. So he got him in like the next yard. And then we did a search warrant on his phone. We found out who was doing it with him. So we didn't catch all the copper thieves in the city, but we got, some of the prolific ones.
Yeah.
So that task force ended, and they had something called Crime Suppression Unit, which is like marked police cars, and there's usually
Mhm.
like 8 of you per precinct. The city had
Yeah.
5 precincts, and you just do proactive stuff. You don't get dispatched to calls.
Yep.
I think most cities have something like this.
Yeah. Some kind of directed policing sort of.
Yeah, it's like street crimes, but you're in uniform. And actually, when I interviewed for that position, I interviewed with the captain of the precinct and my sergeant. She was like, "Hey, you have to interview with the captain. It's very informal. I already told him I want you on my team, but you've got to go in and talk to him." I was like, okay. So I was like 20, 20s, kind of stupid, like now, you know? And so I go in,
Yeah.
she said informal, and he's like, hey, why should I put you on crime suppression? And I was like, well, I ride this beat, and my beat is ate up with whores and drug dealers.
Yeah.
And so what I do is the prostitutes, I work at night, the prostitutes are out walking, so I jack them up and not like beat them up, but I stop them. I mess up
Yeah, yeah,
their
yeah.
sales
Yeah.
and I find I basically make it to where they can continue working. Like I didn't catch them turning a trick, but I'm like, hey, I don't really want any problem with you, but the guy selling crack and toting guns, I have a problem with. So what car do I need to look at? Tell me who to look for, who's, you know, toting
Yeah.
crack and guns. And they'd be like, oh, you want like a brown four door with a white front fender tinted out. And then I go get those guys. So I told the captain that, and so I leave. He's like, okay. So I come out, my her sergeant goes in, and she comes back out, and she's like, what did you say?
Yeah.
I told him I fuck with the whores. Like I jack up whores
Yeah.
all
Fuck
night,
with
and
Yeah.
then
no.
I get intel. I can do my
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't say that. That was a
Yeah.
job interview. And I was like, well, you said it was informal. What do you mean? You
Yeah.
said it's a formality. So he put me on ice for a month. He was like, hey, and she was like, yeah, you can come next month, but you got to do a decent interview. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So got on crime suppression. Mistakes were made. Learned a little bit. And did that. That was fun. We just, rode around in a group and, went into walked the hotels that were ate up with crack and prostitutes and,
Yep.
rode around the hood and did our job. Went from there to narcotics. The narcotics unit there is like a big uh, combination agency from all different agencies from different counties,
Okay.
other small cities nearby.
It's a big task force.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So got on with them.
You got feds involved too, like DEA.
What's that?
You have the feds too, like DEA on the task force.
We would when we no, so we would have a DEA agent that would come and sit with us when we were doing wiretaps.
Okay.
He'd come be in the room, or because a lot of those obviously go federal, so he'd come be in the room. And then when we got guns and it was felons, we had a connection. We had an ATF agent that liked doing the adoptions, and so we would call her and be like, "Hey, here's the circumstances," and she'd
Okay.
take it. But there weren't any feds like permanently assigned there.
Okay. So the task force is all like local, county, and city
Yeah, the
dudes.
narcotics one was, yeah.
Gotcha.
So went there, did a bunch of UC work, which is one of the things I think we're planning to talk about today.
Yeah.
I was on SWAT. We had a part-time SWAT team, so I was on SWAT while I was there. And then a few years went by, and the Marshall Task Force, they call it SERDIF there, Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force. They're all around the country. They had an opening, so I applied to that. And they told me that they wanted me, but they didn't want me doing SWAT part time because they were like,
Okay.
hey, we want you to commit here.
Yeah.
So I resigned from SWAT. I wanted that marshal slot, and went and did that for a few years, and then mistakenly promoted from the best job in law enforcement, being the Regional Fugitive Task Force,
Yeah.
to being a sergeant back on patrol.
Hmm.
Luckily, because of my background, they gave me what I asked for, which was training and special operations in the precinct. So I was able to start getting officers to training that they'd been getting denied. I was able to start pushing them through, kind of showing them
Nice.
what training they needed. And I could not assign people. I could take volunteers to do overtime. We had some car dealerships in the area that were always getting their windows smashed and a bunch of cars stolen. So we did some stuff with that.
Hmm.
These burglar houses we identified, we could, set up ops on them and grab them or whatever.
So you did like special projects then?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Like that
So
didn't
you,
quite, that nobody else was going to work.
yeah. So you were assigned to the training division, like as like the training sergeant, but then you would work like overtime gigs, like special
No,
assignments.
no, I was actually assigned at the precinct as a patrol sergeant, but as a secondary duty, I had training and special ops just for
Oh,
that
okay.
area,
Oh,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
just for that
Okay.
side of the city. So, um, we didn't have a crime suppression in that precinct just because of shortages, so they had dismantled it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um, most detectives they weren't like out doing surveillance, grabbing people. There were so many with two malls and a bunch of dealerships. There were so many Part One crimes in that area. They were just trying to keep their heads above water. So
Yeah.
I was trying to get my guys to kind of do what my buddy and I had done on that task force. Like, hey, when you're on patrol, start identifying who the problem, not like the weed smokers or the crack
Yeah.
smokers, like ID who the burglars are, who the car thieves are. Let's get these guys. That's
Yeah.
hard, you know? It's not random. So did that for a while, and then I got hired by the feds in 2018. I got hired by Homeland Security Investigations. Um, when it started the training, got a
What was
call
it that made you
from
want to?
ATF.
What made you want to leave like a local, like a municipal level law enforcement and go to the Fed side?
So I always kind of had my eye on ATF.
Hmm.
When I was working patrol, my beat was ate up with crime, and they were the ones I'd see out during the night. If for some reason I called some of these other agencies, uh, they wouldn't come. They usually wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
But when I called the ATF agents, they answered.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, nice.
and they would do stuff like tell me one time they were like, "Hey, this house in this dead end street, this guy's a felon that's selling crack and toting guns." Um, and I was eager. This is when I was brand new on patrol, and I was like, "Say no more. What do you need me to do?" And he's like,
Yeah.
if you can stop cars leaving there and get like crack out of them, I'll get a search warrant." So I did it, and it's just like sat in the darkness, and I'd pull over cars
Oh
and
yeah.
get dope out of the car. And then when they did search warrants, they would call me and be like, "Hey, do you want to be on perimeter?" And I was like, "This is insane." You know, they're like raiding. That's huge
Yeah.
when you're a year into law enforcement.
Oh yeah.
So several times they came out, they showed up, you know?
Yeah.
It seemed like they were working like these poor beats, they don't have, I don't think, DEA level targets. Like they're not, there
No.
might be some kilos, but they have a lot of ATF level targets where it's, felons, three-time felons with guns.
Yeah.
So they were in the gritty. So I was like, okay, I'd like to end up there.
Yeah. Okay.
So while I was at basic training, I got offered a job by ATF. And so I switched and went to Memphis, Tennessee, and was an agent there for some years, and then switched agencies again to where I am now.
Okay.
So that's
Nice.
the extremely long version of a simple question.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well, I mean, you covered it pretty in depth on the local level stuff, and then yeah, but so ATF for a little bit, and then now where you are, and you're in Memphis. What's that like? I don't know if you can talk about if you're involved with. I know that we have a lot going on in Memphis right now. So like I just recently took a trip from where we are out to Texas, and one of our local HSI agents that I work with a lot, he's on the plane, and like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I'm getting deployed to Memphis. Like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, he's getting sent out there to just do like street level law enforcement stuff, and that they're doing like several week long deployments where all these different Fed guys are going out there and just working the streets. Are you getting
Yep, yeah,
wrapped up in any of that?
they got a ton of feds here. They got a ton of highway patrol, Tennessee Highway Patrol.
Yeah,
Um, I think they've been pitting people like crazy because Memphis police, like pretty much everywhere, they can't chase unless it's like an active violent felony.
yeah,
Highway patrol's not like that. So I
yeah,
think there's like 300 more here. So they're everywhere. I mean, I see them everywhere I go, it seems like, and they're always in some stuff. They'll put feds in the car with them, so they're riding shotgun with those guys.
yeah.
So it honestly, when I go out in Memphis, it feels safer. I mean, I've heard from tons of people like the shooters aren't out as brazen as they like you don't see them. It used to be every day on the way to work, I'm getting passed by somebody going 100 or three cars, two Infinities and a Dodge Charger going 120 miles an hour. Like that was totally normal.
Hmm.
I haven't really seen that in the last month.
Nice. So whatever they're doing is working. So, but are you getting wrapped up in any of that on the Fed side, having to go to do like the street level stuff?
I'm not right now.
Okay.
I think it might be coming, but not currently, no.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. You got a pretty extensive background in undercover operations. You wanted to kind of talk about that. Tell us about how your undercover operations when you were working in Savannah, like what kind of stuff did you guys do? And, what were your standard, your SOPs and things that you did well, and maybe some things that could have been done a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty, after doing it for the things I did, I'm pretty, I don't want to say I'm anti-UC, but I think that's what it comes down to is
Yeah.
I'm much bigger on using confidential informants for
Uh-huh.
several reasons. I did it pretty much every day at narcotics. Pretty normal day was either we have a target lined up that I can buy from, and I would go meet him somewhere and do a buy walk, buy whatever I was buying, coke, heroin, crack, a lot of crack because I kind of look a little crackheady, so they love
Yeah.
sending me to crack and meth,
Yeah.
hotels and houses, trailers.
Everyone's got their gifts.
What's that?
Everyone's got their gifts.
Yeah, yeah, they tried to send me into bars sometimes, and I was like, dude, we got pretty girls that like to buy in bars. Like, I'm not gonna send me in the projects or in these hotels. Like, that's where
Yeah.
I thrive. I'll go throw bones and come out with crack rocks.
Yeah. Play to your strengths.
Yeah, you want me to like go downtown and buy coke in a bar? Send Becky in there, bro. She's got this.
Yeah.
Um, did it a bunch of times. I remember them asking me on the stand one time, the defense attorney asked me how many times I've done UC. I was like, I have no, probably 500. I have no clue. Because a normal day was either go buy from a Target or we did a ton of cold contact UC work where
Hmm.
I would go in and check out like $102. I'd take the $2 and go buy a 22-ounce beer or a 40,
Yep.
and I'd hop on a bicycle or in a pickup truck and I'd wire up and get all the electronic surveillance up and go buy crack rocks.
Yeah. So you go to like a hotel or like what were your target locations?
Yeah, I mean the open air markets, which are some of the hotels and just the neighborhoods or apartments, where there's just dudes out and you just make eye contact and you can usually tell. And then when you stop, I'd pull a little bit past them. If I was in a car, I'd pull 10 feet past them and stop and put my window down, and they'd just walk up and say, "What you need?"
Okay. Yeah, that way it's not threatening and it's up to them if they want to approach you or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, varied case to case.
Yeah.
But usually, yeah, I'd let them approach. I just kind of walk in or ride a bike in or drive in looking kind of lost but hungry.
Hmm.
I want a crackhead from a stranger look or a crack rock from a stranger, and um, they would usually approach. I mean, they're at work selling dope, so they're trying to make some money.
Nice. So then
So crack is sold not by weight to users, to smokers, which is what I was playing. It's sold by dollar amount. So if they walked up and they look kind of raggedy, I'd say like, "Hey, I want a 20. I need a 20." And
hmm.
if they look kind of clean, again,
Yeah.
it's just snap judgments. I'd be like, "Hey, I want a buck," because I had got $100 in my pocket
Yeah.
after I bought my 40 ouncer. So um, that was just kind of how it went. And then if we spent all the money up, we'd go grab some more and go do some more buy bus. And
Okay. So what happens next? So you ride around, you contact someone, or you get contacted. You say, "I want to buy a buck." You buy $100 worth of crack cocaine, and then what happens to for the people who don't know? Like, where do the drugs go, and then what are the next steps for that operation?
yeah, so I would drive off. I would usually give the takedown and stay there. I'd try to keep the guy distracted. So my takedown signal was A1, which meant like good crack. So I'd say like, "Oh man, this looks A1," and that told the takedown team to come in, and then I'd keep the guy talking, so that he wasn't looking and wouldn't see it coming. They'd try to sneak up to avoid the foot chase and come arrest him, and then I'd
Okay.
turn the crack over to my handler, and they would go log it in, and then we'd go on do some more.
Okay. So it wasn't like buy walks. It was like buy and bust immediately.
Generally, yeah. And I could make the call. They kind of gave me the leeway to make the decision. So, like, if they went to a house that was one of our target houses and said, come back and see me later, I just wouldn't give the takedown signal and we'd walk it. And then
Okay.
come back in 2 hours or 2 days and get some more from the guy, and then they could get a search warrant on it.
Got you. So you get the stash pad.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you give the bus signal, the A1 for them to move in, are they arresting you too, or what are they doing to protect your identity.
If we were doing by walks, they would arrest me too. On by bus, generally, I would just turn and walk away. It was pretty obvious now, they've never dealt with this guy and then they get busted.
Yeah.
So if there was like a crowd out there, yes, they'd arrest me too. But generally, I would just walk away. I'd go back to my truck or,
Yeah.
walk to one of their cars. And
Do you ever get recognized? Because it sounds like you probably work in the same general zones a lot. Like when you come back next week to do the same thing, are you getting recognized?
we would try. I know this sounds simple, but if we hit a house on West 38th Street or by busted a guy on West 38th, we just wouldn't go back there for a while.
Yeah.
Give it a
Yeah.
few weeks, and people would tend to forget.
They just forget. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just some random white guy.
Yeah. We had a Vice guy on, and he was talking about arresting the same prostitute like multiple times, like where he knows her like by name, and he's like, you don't like. He's like, so surprised that she doesn't recognize him when she gets in the truck with him again for like the 5th time. But that's just kind of how it goes.
when you smoke crack every day, I think it affects your memory a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it has
Probably.
some negative effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so then you're saying, looking back, that you shouldn't do when you. It's funny you use the term UC, and it means different things in different places. Because like I work undercover, but we don't do any like real contact. The way you're describing it, it's all surveillance. So I'm dressed down. I'm in a unmarked vehicle, and I'm set up like just doing observation only. And then when the time comes, we'll present ourselves and do a takedown. But very minimal interactions where we're not identifying ourselves as law enforcement. I have a different assignment, different kind of mission, so we don't need to like buy drugs. We're an apprehension team. But when you're talking about you do UC stuff, you're doing UC and you're making these buys, and that in hindsight, maybe you should be doing that stuff via informants or different tactics. Can you talk about that and why you think that?
Yeah, it was so fun. And that's why I love doing it. It's a total rush. And
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of time I found I got along better with the dudes on the street than the cops. Like I'm not a cop's cop, I guess
Yeah.
you could say. And like I'd be hanging out like I like these guys. I hate it sounds crazy, but I did. And we just kind of talked on the same wavelength. So yeah, it was stupid and dangerous.
Yep.
We already talked about a few examples of times that there's just so many close calls when you do it all the time. If you've watched The Wire, there's that episode where they come up and just rip the guy and like shoot the cop. And
Yeah.
that's the stuff that can happen. And as I did it for years, I started voicing like, hey, we need to have CIs doing this work a lot more because it's just not worth the funeral and, kissing
Yeah.
the baby that's missing the dad or mom
Oh yeah.
hugging the wife that has to move on and pick up their life. So, or even if you just get crippled from getting shot, not everybody dies from it, but you just get shot in the chest and, you can't work anymore. So,
Yeah. No, getting shot's never going to be.
yeah, my first UC ever, I got shot at the very first time.
Damn.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is when I was still on patrol, and that same sergeant that I mentioned earlier that kind of yelled at me for talking about hookers in the captain's office.
Yeah.
She came to me, I think, because I was young and looked like a pizza man, and she was like, "Hey, they're robbing pizza men in these apartments.
Okay.
Would you want to do UC, like going in to catch the robber?"
So you want to go get robbed?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was ready to fight other
You wanna
people
be
off to
bait.
do it. My buddy kind
Oh.
of wanted to do it. I was like, "No, I got dibs, bro."
Oh, I got an even worse one for you. Keep going though.
So I went in. I had my personal pistol, not the duty gun. I had my
Yeah.
personal pistol, which I never qualified through work on. I mean, I'm brand new. I don't know all the mistakes being made. I'm brand new. I've
Yeah.
no UC training, no UC work. So they put like a Pizza Hut topper on this little white Ford Focus that I think used to be a detective car. And
Yeah.
they give me a warmer like that you hold pizzas in and it keeps them warm.
Yeah.
They gave me like $21 and a cell phone to give to the guy, hoping I get robbed. And so my sergeant is like, this is not like we're not executing this guy if he robs you. Your job is to get robbed. Like you have the gun if your life's in danger, but which who knows where that line is.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
That's sketchy.
Were, we,
Sketchy.
were you
What she
were
said
you wearing
is,
body armor at all?
what's that?
Were you at least wearing like a vest or anything? Like under your shirt?
I can't remember. I
Jacket?
don't think I had a vest on, but I really don't remember.
Damn.
And then no, this is even worse. Then I had another cell phone, not the one I'm supposed to give to the guy when I get robbed. I had another cell phone, a flip phone on speaker in my other pocket. So that was the bug, so that they could hear what was going on.
Yeah.
So I pull into these apartments. I got on just normal clothes, like some cargo shorts, and I pull in. It's a big loop in the apartment. So I pull in, I do a loop. It's nighttime. There's nobody out. And I'm like, oh man, like I'm such a failure. I'm not getting robbed today. And so as I get back up by the front, by the mailboxes, there's this kid sitting on one of those green electrical boxes. And I say kid, he's like 15. And I was like, and he looks kind of menacing. Like he's just looking at me crazy. And
Yeah.
so I roll the window down and I'm like, hey, friend, something like that. Like, hey, man, you know where the 1400 building is? And I knew it was in the back and all the lights were shot out back there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
they'd love to rob. If I'm gonna rob somebody, it's by 1400. And he's like, oh, yeah. He smiles real big. All I can see is like his gold teeth in the light. And he's like, oh, it's in
Grill?
the back. And I
Yeah.
was like, thanks, man. I pull around back and I get out and I'm walking. I hear the little pitter patter from behind me. And I hear him like, give it up, give it up. And turn around, same kid's there. He's got the, gun up on me. And so I give him the stuff I'm supposed to give him. And he runs off. And I'm waiting for like the police to come. They had like undercovers in the complex. They had marked units outside it. So I'm like, when are they going to get this dude? Like I see him running off through the buildings.
Yeah.
And so I take the cell phone that's on speaker out of my pocket and I do exactly what they told me not to do. I start like chasing them and yelling, stop police. And so
Ah.
I'm yelling at the phone. I'm like, hey, he robbed me at the 1400 building. He's running through the courtyard toward the front. So I'm chasing him. I call it what he's got on. I'm like, young black male, black and purple striped shirt, whatever. And so as we come into the next parking lot, we come through the courtyard into the next parking lot. I'm yelling, stop police, stop. I'm trying to like do the arrest as the UC. And
Mm.
he turned around and started shooting over his shoulder. I ducked behind a car, came upon the gun. It was my personal gun, had no night sights on it.
Yep.
And he's like running into an apartment building. So I run up to that building and there's a breezeway. It's like a 3-story building. There's a breezeway through to the other side. And one of the undercovers is at the other side. And so I was like, hey, did he come through? He said, no. So I'm like, all right, he's in the building. So then the whole cavalry comes in, there's a million cops there, and the sergeant shows up and she was like, man, I didn't even know you got robbed till I heard the gunfire. And I was like, that's super comforting. And so I was like, hey, he's definitely in this building. So they send me off to, go wait and be interviewed by robbery or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
violent crimes. And while I'm waiting, my buddy who was on CSU, he tells me later that this old lady comes out of one of the ground floor apartments and she's like, officer, I think my grandson has something he needs to tell you. And he was like, you need to go back in your apartment. We got a situation. And she was like, nah, you want to hear this? And so he comes out and goes, I robbed the pizza man. And turned out later he was on probation for armed robbery. And
Yeah.
so he was robbing pizza men to get money to pay his probation fines.
Yeah. Nice.
So that was my first UC that motivated me to do a lot more.
To go do more. This is fun. Let's keep doing more of this. Yeah, that's sketchy, man. Intentionally getting robbed. That's you're just
Yeah.
it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking. It reminded me. We had our vice unit we had an operation years ago, and this was another bad one. There was a guy, a massage therapist, like at a massage parlor, who was inappropriately touching, you could say, some of the female clients, and there were like multiple complaints where they had like made reports on this guy, like diddling them during the course of the massage. And so our vice unit took one of their female officers or detectives and were like, hey, go in there to get a massage. And it went exactly how you would expect it to go, and which was like not the way. There's got to be a better way to catch these people.
Go become a victim.
Yeah, go be a victim.
Couldn't they just do like a photo lineup?
Yeah,
Like, is
right.
this the guy who
couldn't they
diddled you? And then you'd be like, yeah, that's him. And then just go get him.
something short of that. But that's what it reminded me of. Yeah, go in there and intentionally get robbed. I'm like, dang, that's sketchy. That's sketchy.
A little bit. So that's not the one. None of these really like were the catalyst of like we need to do less UC.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a cumulative buildup of like, hey, this is pretty stupid. So there was another time that um, I used to ride my bike. Like I said, I had like this BMX with the broken brake cable all wrapped around the handlebars and, pegs on the front. So um,
Yeah.
female UCs would sit on the front and I'd like pedal around with them on there. It was a disaster, like riding through
Nice.
trailer parks.
That's a 2-officer unit.
Brilliant. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm riding into this neighborhood on the west side, and it's like a 6 block stretch where like 80% of the violent crime happens in the whole city.
Yeah.
It's train wreck in there.
Everybody knows that place.
Yeah.
What's that?
We all know that place.
Yeah, it's just all crack dealing and guns and smokers and shootouts and all this craziness. So my buddy actually, when we were on patrol, this same block I was going down, um, he patrolled that area when we were brand new. We went through the academy together, and he calls me one night and he's like, dude, I just turned the corner onto the 39th Street, and this dude just like sprayed my hood with an AK. Like there were some guys on the corner that just shot him up with an AK. Like it's super risky. So we're
Yeah.
like, well, let's go do some UC on the bike at night over there. So
So
I'm like,
wait, hold on real quick. Was that he in a marked car or is it a UC when they do
yeah,
that?
he was in a police car.
Oh, dang.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. So I'm going over there. They're like, hey, let's go in this neighborhood and like put Leo on the bike and get some crack rocks and let magic happen. So I start riding in. As soon as I cross over MLK into the neighborhood, I like leave the park. I cross MLK. I'm passing this store, and there's one dude who I knew. I can't remember his name now, but he'd been shot like 3 different times. He'd been in all these shootouts. So there's one like young crack dealer, like 20-year-old crack dealer on this porch, and like 10 crack smokers. Like there's just this crowd of people. And so I look and I just like, this is not great right now. Like the dude's just looking at me with like menace in his eyes. So I just keep pedaling. I'm like, I'll get my crack somewhere else today. Keep riding.
Yeah.
And he comes like running off the porch with his hand in his hoodie and runs straight at me. And so I throw the bike down and step back and kind of square up. I'm like, I'm getting shot in the face for sure. Like he didn't have a gun out. I didn't know if he's going to tackle me or shoot me. So I like square up, and he like laughs as he gets to me and runs off behind that store, runs out of sight. And all
Yeah.
these crackheads are laughing at me. The whole porch is cracking up.
Yeah.
And so I like pick up my bike and I quickly push it back across. Again, the takedown team's not there. Like if it had happened, might have caught him, might not. Um, I push it back across MLK to the park, and like I got to put my chain back on because I knocked my chain off.
Yeah.
And again, this wasn't the wake up call, but like in retrospect, you know,
That would have went real bad. It could have gone real bad.
could have
So
been
he
bad.
thinks he thinks he's just messing with this, like, the poor white crackhead who's coming through the neighborhood.
Yeah, or he knew something, but yeah, I think that's probably what it was. I think he was just like bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what you said that's not the the incident that convinced you?
No, then another time I was on the street, and we were doing buy walks with this lady, but we knew she's a crack smoker, but she bought from these righteous targets. She was in this certain neighborhood, and she was always hanging out at this house. An informant had been killed in the yard. There'd been like 4 or 5 murders in that yard of this house, and they never get solved. Like there's always people out, they never see anything. So I'm
Yeah.
buying from this lady. I start hanging out at this house, and I'm like hanging out in the backyard. They had Savannah has tons of sand gnats, like bugs. You know what
Mhm.
they always complain about at Paris Island, like it's
Yeah.
the same bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sand fleas.
Sand fleas.
Yeah, sand fleas. So they had these little fires where they'd light a fire and then put a wet rag on it. So there's like this mist of smoke coming up to run those things off. And they just sit out there and like drink and gamble and sell crack all day and hang out.
Yeah.
So I'm back there playing spades and waiting for the crack to get there. They're like, "Oh yeah, it ain't here. Like he's re-upping, it'll be back."
So wait, are you playing with the lady you're talking about? Playing spades with her?
She got me a beer that day. As soon as I got there, she was like, "You want a beer?" I think she was trying to flirt, but I was like 28. She was like 60.
Yeah.
She was like, "You want a cold beer?" And like gives me a beer.
Hey, shoot or shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right. She was ready to play. But no, I was playing with some guys. I don't think she was playing, but I was just playing with some guys that were back there. So I'm like bidding, like we're getting whole games done. I'm out there, I'm not kidding, like at least an hour and a half. My handler at the time was Greek, and he was all mad afterwards. He was like, "Why you say 1P, 2P? What does that mean? Why you keep saying that?" I was like, "Dude, I was bidding. I had like two and a possible. What are you talking about?" He was like, "Why you out there so long? Like you buy or you don't buy?" I was like, "Well, did I buy? Like I got it." Um, so I'm out there for a while, and then all of a sudden, there were like these young dudes, early 20s, over by this shed in the yard, and they kept looking at me. And I was like, whatever, I got a 380 in my pocket, like I'll be all right. Well, then suddenly she goes and talks to them, and she comes back. She's like, "Hey, the guy's not coming back. Let's get out of here." So we go. She's like, "I got somebody else." So we go get in my truck and leave, and we go get crack, whatever. And we end up busting her later, and she was like, "I can't believe you're putting me in jail when I saved." They told her, they ended up telling her that I was a cop. Like they were trying to get a confession about the guy, or for some reason they ended up telling her that I was an undercover. And she was like, "Man, you're putting me in jail when I saved his life." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "That day, there were some guys out there and they had an AK next to that shed. And I went and talked to them and they were like, 'Oh, we got to take him.' And so I went back and I got him out of there. I said, 'Let's get in the truck and go.'"
Yeah.
Again, lesson not learned, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't have solved that,
No,
There's
yeah.
no way.
Yeah. If multiple homicides in that same yard probably shouldn't be in there playing spades.
Let the informant do it. And the other thing with the CIs is they tend to know these people. These people don't know me. But
Yeah.
if we had a CI that always hung out in that yard, they're not going to rob and kill him.
Yeah. And also the CI is going to know, he's going to know the ins and outs. And like, if this, if it's going bad, he's going to have a better sense of it than you are going to have.
Yeah. And I had a feeling, but I was overconfident. And so I was like, oh, those guys look shady, but I'm all right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, nobody's really bulletproof.
Yeah. That's a close call for sure.
So, um, another time I had a deal set up. This was the neighborhood just east of that one where the dude bum rushed me. They called it UPT for up top. And the other place was down bottom. And
Yeah.
so, um, I went to the store at 37th and Montgomery Streets on the west side of the city, and I was supposed to meet this guy that was going to sell me some crack there. I'd met him somewhere, got him on the phone. I was like, "Hey, I need 40." He's like, "All right, meet me at 37th and Montgomery." I'm like, "All right." So I pull into 37th and Montgomery, and he's not there. Drug dealers, tend to be late, so he's not there. So I get out and I go in the store to get a drink or something, and as I'm walking in, this other dude's like, "Hey, you fuck with that boy," which is heroin. That's what they call heroin in the South. And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I got it on deck right now." And I was like, "All right, hold on, let me get some money." So I go back to the car and I call the dude I was going to buy crack from. And I was like, "Hey, man, it's some police shit going on out here. Like, I think there might be some undercovers in the parking lot. Let's go down to McDonald's down the street." And he's like, "Oh, I'm riding by right now. I see the car you're talking about. Yeah, I'll meet you down the street." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I go back to the heroin dude that's on the front stoop of this store, and I'm like, "Hey man, my money's no good. I thought I had money in the car, but I don't. You got a number? I'll get it from you later." He's like, "Yeah." So he gives me the number, ride down the street, do the buy that was originally planned. I think it was a buy walk. So boom, we do the deal. That guy leaves. While I'm at that McDonald's, there's this dude in the car next to me, and he rolls down the window and like waves to me. So I roll mine down, and he goes, "Hey, what are you here for?" And he didn't look like a crackhead or a heroin user to me. So I was like, "This dude's probably out here buying weed." So I was like, I got some green on the way. He's like, "Shit, me too. You want to go in halves?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, I got such and such amount of money. Like, let's split a quarter." And he's
Yeah.
like, "All right, come hop in." So I go get in the car with him. Again, it's so willy-nilly and crazy looking
Yeah.
back. And so I go hop in the car with him, and I thought we were just gonna sit there. He was like, "Oh, we just got to go right down the street." I was like, "No, no, hold on. I don't want to leave my car here." He's like, "Oh, he's high as hell." He's like, "Your car's fine. Let's go." So he backs out and he takes off down the street. Like I had no control. I'm just a passenger. So he
Oh
goes down the
shit.
street, and this dude mashes out. He's not fleeing. He just drives like an asshole. So he's got like the stop signs line up a certain way in the neighborhood, and he is just flying like 60, 70 miles an hour through them, just talking a mile a minute. He's like, "Oh, my boy's always out here. He's got dreads. As soon as I see him, we'll pull up." Like he walks, so he might have taken a while. We'll find him. And I'm like, this is I'm trying to call out on the bug where we are. I'm like, oh, we're passing this street. Like, just sounding like an idiot, but I'm
Yeah.
just trying to let them know where I'm at.
Yeah.
So he pulls up to this random dude with dreads walking down the street. He's like, oh, my guy's got dreads. I think that's him. It's nighttime. And he just pulls up and rolls the window down and sticks money out the window. He's like, hey, you got that? And dude's like, nah, I ain't got that. And so my takedown team told me later, I think we ended up making a deal. I don't even remember, but my takedown team told me later, they were like, dude, we totally lost you. That dude was flying. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Damn.
yeah, I know. You guys weren't coming, you know? And
Yeah.
then the heroin dude, we ended up busting that night or the next morning. And I remember I went and picked him up and was on like Montgomery Street and called the we just did a buy bust on it. Like, I don't think he was a player, you know?
Yeah.
So I call a takedown. And as like they pull in from the back and pin the car or whatever, even though I'm driving, and he looks at me and he's like, "You did me, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sorry, partner." And they come and arrest him or whatever for selling heroin.
Yeah.
But what if he had reacted differently than that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
If he had a gun on him, or you know, took it
yeah.
more personal,
But at the
or it
time,
was,
it just made a good story where we were like, "Oh, that was funny." He said, "You did me, bro," and I said,
yeah.
"Yeah."
Yeah. That sounds like a real target-rich environment. You got three different dope deals happening all in the same parking lot.
Yeah, it was pretty active over there.
Oh, well, this is kind of a side question. Do you feel like any of that had an impact on like slowing down the drug activity, or making
Um, no,
no, no,
no, I don't. I mean, people that smoke crack are gonna find crack.
yeah,
They were still out I mean, we did it for years and they were still out on the corners every day. They would just
yeah.
try to be more vigilant. So,
Hmm.
no,
Interesting.
I'm kind of a we've lost the drug war guy
Yeah,
or there shouldn't be one like
yeah,
target violent crime and property crime. Like I don't like getting burglarized or my car broken into. Like
yeah,
I just
yeah,
don't think drugs really makes a difference, but
yeah. Well, come out to California and oh, that's a whole other topic, I guess. So then, in hindsight, so you're saying, instead of utilizing officers as the UCs doing the buys, you're saying it would be better to utilize informants.
yeah, I mean, if you can figure out somebody's motivation, you can make an informant. So, I mean, obviously, a lot of people just won't, but you can recruit gang members to be informants. And if you're
Oh
going
yeah,
into a Pyru blood house, like, I don't want to go in that house, bro, but cops do it. They go into freaking Crip houses and
yeah,
GDs and everything else. And it's like, I don't know,
yeah,
shaky to me.
yeah. I guess, well, there's a trade offs, because I'm sure you've worked informants plenty as a narcotics guy. They're famously unreliable.
Hmm. They die sometimes.
That too, yeah, yeah, they die. But I just mean like one of the frustrations I have with informants, and this isn't me arguing against using informants, but is we'll have like an operation where you've got all these different people from different assignments, sometimes different agencies, and they're all kind of coming together to do this operation, and it all hinges on this one uh meth addict showing up on time and doing the task that you need him to do so that we can all do the job that we're trying to do.
Yep.
And like again, they're notoriously unreliable. And so I can't even tell you how many times where something, all the informant didn't call back or we couldn't get a hold of him or
Oh,
whatever.
they're a huge pain in the butt. Totally
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
But no, I mean, when it comes to that, or going into a gang member crack dealer's house, then the trade off is worth it, in my opinion. I totally 100% agree. But
Yeah, it's just a choice, man. Yeah, they're very annoying. Sometimes they show up with drugs in the car or, all kinds of crazy stuff.
yeah,
I don't know. I'd rather send somebody that chooses to be in that lifestyle into the house than my
mhm,
buddy who I barbecue with, you know?
yep, oh yeah, 100%. So then you said you specialized in interrogations, interview and interrogation. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I was in the Army National Guard for a few years, and I was a 35 Mike, which is a human intel collector.
Okay.
So it's the main gist of it, which I can't go too far into that stuff, but the main gist is interviews and interrogations and running sources. So confidential informants on the military side.
Okay.
I didn't do anything super cool with them beyond the training, but the training was awesome. And I almost said a lot of it, all of it translated to law enforcement.
Oh yeah.
It was all about reading people, developing rapport, developing their motivation.
Was this before you became a police officer, or were you in the National
It
Guard
was
during that
during.
same
I
time?
went in 2014, so I'd been a cop a couple of years.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So then you went to this training, and then you can then apply that to your full-time gig.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting there analyzing the whole time, like I needed this stuff 4 years ago when I started this job because this is clutch. I mean, simple stuff like reading somebody's body language and if they have a defeated posture in the interview room, how to match that and make a conscious choice of what you want to do. Do you want to be completely spread out if they're completely defeated already and put them further in their hole? Maybe, but you got to read the situation. Or do you want to kind of match them and make them feel a little more confident?
Mm-hmm.
So lots of little tricks, and it was a lot of. I'll stick with law enforcement just so I make sure I don't cross any lines. But between that and other interview classes, how to guide conversations, how to, if we're just bullshitting on the street, if you work at the El Cheapo gas station, and I think you haven't, and we'll take that 37th and Montgomery store. Like, could that store clerk be a great informant or source or just a unpaid source of information? Of course.
Yeah, they see a lot of stuff there.
What's that?
They see a lot of stuff there.
They see everything. They see shootings. They see it all. So, how to guide that conversation from like getting your free Coke to telling me who's selling Coke without, coming in as officer super cop and being like, I know there's crime in here. Tell me everything about it. Like that just
Yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah,
So I started when I went back to patrol as a sergeant. I started trying to kind of coach my officers a little bit and get them doing both formal and informal interviews.
Mhm.
I was trying to get them to like I said, we had these malls, so they're like picking up shoplifters all the time, and I'd be like, dude, you gotta just Mirandize the shoplifter, like ask them why they stole the stuff. Instead of did you steal these 10 shirts? Hey, why
yeah,
are you stealing these 10 shirts? Like
yeah,
what's your position in life that you need 10 polos? Like you wear these polos or you sell these polos? What are we talking? And just develop those that ability to kind of guide that conversation.
yeah,
So I got them doing that a little bit. I would bring in when we had roll call, I would bring in like I brought in that guy that was my supervisor that kind of kept me and my buddy on track. I was like, "Hey man, can you come teach interviews at my roll call?" And he did. Just getting them kind of thinking about, "Hey, you do have time to do this thing and learn it, and it'll help you become a detective or whatever you want."
yeah. Nice. Uh,
So then when I went to ATF, they established a class where uh, it was me and like six other people. We would fly around the country to different field divisions. I think somebody had messed up in one field division and like caught management's attention. And so they were like, hey, we need to like do something beyond basic training. And so we would fly around and kind of teach this class that was broken up into sections, rapport building, planning and preparation, questioning, and get people thinking beyond just direct questioning in the interview room.
yeah. And I imagine that helps out a lot too. So, like, one of the things I've noticed when you work with people on the Fed side that are straight, like, federal law enforcement from the jump, not like guys like yourself who worked like a local level cops before becoming feds, but they don't have that prior experience. And like some of the things that as street cops we look at as like basic stuff, like basic, like what is it? What is it actually like to arrest somebody? To like put your hands on another human being and place them into handcuffs and take them into custody. And like, if you remember the first time you arrested somebody, you were probably pretty nervous when you did it. And then after you've done it like a couple hundred times, it just starts to become second nature. And you think about it, if you're a federal agent, you're not like when you worked in the streets in Savannah, working the midnight shift, there's probably nights where you're arresting 5, 6, 7 people
Yeah, the
in a
volume's
night.
much lower on the Fed side.
But on the Fed side, like you might arrest somebody like twice a year, or you know what I mean? And so
Hopefully
like,
more than that. I hope it's not twice a year, but
yeah, okay, an exaggeration. But yeah, I mean, they're not doing the physical skills, the physical tasks that these street cops are doing, and then like, and also that probably applies to interviews as well. You're working a big case where you're spending months and months on this before you actually go and arrest somebody and then go into the interview. Whereas like, you're a street cop and you're making 5, 6 arrests in a night. Sometimes you're doing 5 or 6 interviews every single day, and they like any other skill, you get better as time goes on. But you have a lot more experience talking to people and interacting with the people that you're throwing cases on than they do on the Fed side.
definitely. And I think there's two sides to the coin. There's the people that don't have the experience, so they're making mistakes. And there's the people that are totally overwhelmed. And so it's like, oh, this is just another homicide interview. I don't really have time for this. So I'm going to slap down the Miranda form because I done caught 2 fresh murders this week
Mm-hmm.
and just run through it and completely skip any kind of
Yeah,
rapport development. And then when the dude lawyers up, they're like, I knew he'd lawyer up. He's a killer. And it's
yeah,
like, it's not my fault. It's like, no,
gotcha.
let's take accountability. And there's those two sides, but totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. Um, what do you? I was thinking about this. Do you ever? This is kind of off topic, but do you ever miss the street level enforcement stuff now that you work on the Fed side? Like,
Oh yeah.
getting back into like a marked unit and just getting out there with all the chaos, or jumping back in a UC position and getting out there with all the stuff going on. I imagine your day to day isn't nearly as active as it was when you were a street cop.
Definitely miss it. But I did make, and ATF was pretty good. It was a pretty good balance.
Mm,
I remember when I went to they had like an information session was the first step, and the special agent in charge in that area, he basically he came in and he was like, "Hey, if you're looking for a cushy Fed job where you don't even put your gun on during the day, this ain't it. We're in the grit. We want trigger pullers. We want gang members. If you want to sit on your hands all day, please go somewhere else." And then he
yeah,
left. So they were
nice.
pretty good about. We did a lot of deals. We were out. We worked a lot with the local police department. I sat at the gang unit, is where my desk was. So
Mm,
it was a good mix of the two. But yeah, once you get further away, yeah, definitely miss it.
nice. What else? What else do you want? I wanted to talk to you about
Yeah, some of the stories I
some
want
of
to
the
hear.
stuff. Yeah.
Some of the good
If we
ones
can kind of go back,
to
maybe I should
highlight.
have brought this up earlier. The story about Painter Mike, it just makes me laugh so much, and I just want to kind of prompt you with that and let you take it away because I really enjoy this.
Yeah. So when I was on patrol, there was this guy went by Painter Mike. He
Uh,
was like the maintenance man at one of these crack motels where it's just
yeah,
crack and prostitutes all day and night. Um, $25 a night or $100 a week or whatever, something crazy.
hmm
Bed bugs come with it. And so when I went to narcotics, I arrested him like twice on patrol. And then I went to narcotics and we were doing the buy bust undercover thing in there. I'm in my little pickup truck or whatever, and I pull into the hotel. And there's Painter Mike. He comes down and greets me at the truck. I got my beer with me. I got my scale, my Brillo pad for my crack pipe or whatever.
yeah,
Um, I used to want to carry a crack pipe and so blend in, and my handler was like, "You're a fucking idiot. Like they're gonna make you smoke crack if you crack. I don't."
yeah. They're gonna make you do it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah,
Sorry, what year? Like, what time frame is this? This is early 2010s.
yeah. It's like 2012 to 15.
Yeah.
okay.
So is crack still pretty big there? Is crack? I don't know if you know. You probably still have friends in the agency. Or is crack still like a big thing out there?
I don't know. It had already faded a lot of
Yeah.
places, but I'm guessing it's got a total hold there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the
Okay.
total main. Everybody you met had a crack pipe, little bit of heroin, meth, fentanyl, but in the
Mhm.
city it was all crack.
Okay, yeah. So when I started, I became a cop in the end of 2007, and so I remember I was in gang unit 2010 to 2013. So like my first 5 years, crack was around. It was really big in the beginning, and it started to kind of tail off towards like 2012, 2013, and to where we weren't seeing it as much. And then now, like guys who became officers like after say 2015, like a lot of them have never even seen crack. And
I never have,
yeah,
except for in class,
yeah.
in the
Nick
academy.
Nick started in 2019, and yeah, he's never actually seen crack in the wild.
Yeah, never.
We have meth everywhere.
Yeah.
Meth, fentanyl, a little bit of heroin, but yeah, crack has basically just disappeared where we are.
I don't know if I ever saw meth in the city. I mean, it was in the county, but
Yeah,
almost zero.
interesting.
That's weird how that works out. Crack being in like really dense urban cities, and then meth is more rural
More
type.
rural, yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
wonder
and
why that is.
I don't know. There's a lot to it, but I know that in our jurisdiction, the people who used to smoke crack now they all switched over and they smoke meth. And when you talk to them about it, they'll say it's just basically more cost efficiency. You get a longer high. It's a different high, but it's somewhat similar. I mean, I don't know. I've never actually done either one, but the meth high lasts longer and it's cheaper to buy. Like you can get more bang for your buck when you buy meth than you can when you buy crack. Like crack, they're high for a short time and then it wears off.
All about cost efficiency.
Yeah, so just cost efficiency.
Who knew?
But anyway,
So,
sorry. So this is in the early 2010s when you're
yep,
dealing with Painter Mike.
yep. So Mike comes up to the window and he's like, "Hey, what you need?" I was like, "I need a buck and $100 worth of crack." And he's like, "All right, come on." So I grabbed my beer, my phone. I had the electronic surveillance on or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, Hand crank my windows up in my truck, um, which I had down because it had no air conditioning. So
Yeah, of course.
building the character. So
Yeah.
I go up the stairs with I still remember the room number because my boss made fun of me for it later. It's 257. So we go into room 250. He's probably still there. All right, sorry, Mike. So I go into 257, and my little shtick was I'd have drank some beer before I went in, and that way I'd always
Mhm.
have to pee. And I'd go in the
Yeah.
bathroom and I'd whisper into the bug the room number because there's no takedown team. Again, this is dumb as hell. Like, what
Yeah.
if he just hits me in the head with a gun as soon as I walk in and I'm sleeping? They don't know what room I'm in.
Yeah.
Dumb, dumb, dumb. But
Sketchy.
that's how we roll.
Yeah.
I go in and I pee and I'm whispering like 257, 257, 257. Like I'm having fun at work, screwing around. Come back out of the bathroom. He's kind of looking at me crazy. I don't know if he heard me whispering or if something just clicked. Um, and he looks at me and I always carried a 380 in my pocket, a Ruger 380 pistol, and it had like a holster that covered the top half of it, like the slide and the trigger well.
Yeah.
But when you grabbed the handle, the holster popped off and stayed in your pocket.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
It had that kind of grippy material on the outside.
yeah, exactly. Um, so I couldn't slip my finger in the trigger well, grab my keys or whatever. But if I pulled it, it was ready to go. So he looks at my pocket and it's got like the L-shaped print. He's like, and they were pretty loose shorts, but he saw it and he was like, "What is that? That looks like a gun." And I looked down and I was like, "Nah, that's, my phone and shit." And he came up and tried to, pat my leg. I had multiple people try to pat me down. Should have learned that it was stupid at some point.
Yeah.
Or that I was a bad UC and people were suspicious of me.
Yeah.
So he like tries to pat me. I knocked his hand away and I was like, "Dude, you brought me up here. Like you came to me. You think I'm like targeting? What the fuck? I'll go somewhere else, you know?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, it ain't like that. I'm just being careful, whatever." And so he calls the guy and places the order or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, you want to bitch with that? Because it's
Yeah.
a prostitution motel."
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
It's a full service kind of joint.
yeah, it was whatever
Yeah.
you need.
Concierge.
So yeah, I probably could have told him I need an AC unit, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's
Some copper.
256, bro. And we got those next door." So
Yeah.
he's like, "You want to bitch with that?" And I was like, "Yeah. I just, I like to eat it. And so I'll have to use your shower afterward." I had a big scraggly beard. I was like, "I'll have to wash it out of my beard because I'm gonna go home to my family afterwards." And he was like, "Oh yeah, you good. I got you." We do the bust. The other dude comes and we end up busting both of them. And my boss pulls me aside and he was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you, man." He was like, "First of all, you got a weak stream, and
Yeah.
I'm so tired of listening to you piss on this bug, and you need to get checked because you either got a prostate issue or you have an
Yeah.
STD."
Yeah.
Oh
And
shit.
second of all, did you have to say that about eating out prostitutes? I'm just picturing this little blue-haired lady on the jury
Oh fuck.
listening to that and then looking at you. And I was like, "Sarge, it's a grimy world. Like I'm in a crack motel. You want me to talk
Yeah.
about church. Like, what are you
Yeah.
looking for out of me here? No, I'm safe. I'm gonna keep doing it this way, sir.
Yeah. We got to sell this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
But he loved the UC. He did UC for years. He loved that I wanted to do it. He got robbed and put on the ground with a gun to the back of his head doing
Oof.
undercover.
Wow.
And then the takedown team came while he was on the ground and got the guy. So he, same as me, he liked UC. He just never stopped liking UC like I did.
Yeah. Damn, that's so sketchy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So you're more against like the aspect of UC as far as when you embed yourself like with amongst these individuals that you're trying to take down, right?
Right. So we always differentiated between UC and plain clothes.
Oh,
Plain
okay.
clothes being what you're talking about, UC being even if you're making phone calls, texts, back
Mhm.
then it was Facebook messages, probably MySpace. I don't think I'm that
Yeah.
old, but
Yeah.
UC was embedding with them. Plain
I got
clothes
you.
was just the run of the mill surveillance. You
Yeah.
pick
Yeah.
offs and you have patrol cars stop and stuff like
That
that.
makes
So
sense. Yeah.
yeah, that's necessary. You got to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then that makes more sense. So what we do is more plain clothes, not UC for sure.
And that seems reasonable. Another one that I talked to you guys about, I've been buying from these people in this trailer. That might have been meth. It was either meth or heroin. I can't remember. But it was something, it was in the county in a trailer. And it wasn't like the usual inner city stuff. So I remember it being a different drug. Um, so it was like the second or third buy, and I go in there. I was buying from this girl who had just done 9 years in prison because she cut off a John. She was a prostitute, and she had cut off a John's finger that
Damn.
made her mad. I don't know if he wouldn't pay her or just pissed her off, whatever. But she had cut off his finger. She did 9 years, and then she got out. So in this trailer, it was her, her mom, a couple of her sisters, and all the dudes they hung out with. So I go to the trailer one day, and as soon as I come in, they introduce me to this dude. They're like, "Hey, this is such and such," and the dude's just spaced out, like he's out of his mind high, and he almost immediately ODs. As soon as I come in, he like collapses on the ground. He's drenched in sweat. He's barely breathing. He's breathing, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
it looks like he's gonna die.
He's on heroin.
I don't. Well, they told me later he'd been doing heroin, smoking crack, and taking pills and drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. So some kind of depressant.
A combination platter. He was having a blast until he
Yeah.
fell out. So um, I'm like, this dude's definitely gonna die. And they're all just watching him, like they're just letting it happen. And I was like, I'm the new guy, but I'm like trying to take charge. I'm like, hey, we got to call 911. Like, buddy's gonna die. And the mom who was there, it was her trailer. She was like, we ain't calling shit. If they come in here, we're all going to prison. And I was like, yeah, but what, you trying to hide a fucking body? Like, I don't want to be part of this. I said, let's drag him out in the yard, call 911 and just tell him he had a seizure. And so they eventually kind of let me do that. They
Yeah.
weren't thrilled, but they kind of let that happen. So we like put him out in the yard, and they showed up with the ambulance, and I went to the ambulance, and in retrospect, uh, we should have just taken it down at that point, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the common sense answer, but we didn't. Um, Oh, and when the dude fell out, one of the girls in there, she had a baby, and she sat down and started smoking crack. She's got like a baby in a diaper. She sat down cross-legged and started smoking crack, like with the baby in her lap. The place
Yeah.
was a zoo. So
Yeah.
we put the dude out in the yard, and I'm like, I'm just gonna tell him the dude seized up like randomly. And so the paramedics get there, and I was like, hey man, he's been like smoking crack, whatever I just told you, smoking crack,
Yeah.
heroin, Xanny bars, and drinking all day. Like this is an OD. I'm
Yeah.
an undercover cop. Don't blow my cover. So they like they bring another ambulance. I guess they brought like the advanced ambulance, and they load the dude in. He ended up living. And I go back in, I make the deal. I remember the girl I was dealing with was sitting, she had a 4 year old kid there, and she was sitting at those little tables with like the blue plastic outline for kids that are
Yeah.
like 12 inches high or something.
Yeah.
She's
Kids
sitting in
tables.
this tiny chair at that table, cutting up heroin to put in the foil bindles.
Yeah.
Um,
On the little Tykes table.
what's that?
On the little Tykes table.
On the little Tykes table. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sitting in the little Tykes chair with like her knees up. Um, And when the dude fell out, they all robbed him immediately. Like,
Of course. Well,
yeah,
yeah.
start going through his
Yeah.
pockets and robbing him.
What else would you do?
It's crazy. And it's like, what the hell am I doing? And I ended up getting an award because we did a search warrant like the next time on the house, got in a car chase with the main dealer that was showing up and got a bunch of dope and all this stuff. And they were like, oh, he kept his cover and made the deal and like saved this guy's life by calling an ambulance. And I just look back and I'm like, hey, I'm glad it worked out, but
Yeah.
why am I in there?
Sketchy. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And thousands of cops do it every day. They're in these houses and it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I just, I like people thinking about and making their own choices. Like, I wish somebody had told me back then, you need to be, nobody was the voice of reason. Everybody was like, hey, you kick ass, keep on taking names.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have in the last few years, I've been like, hey, we need to rethink this before we're at a funeral.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. Um,
Hopefully my stories aren't making young guys be like, I want to do that every day. That's probably the exact result.
yeah,
Uh,
that's probably they probably have the inverse effect of what we're shooting for here. No, yeah, I can see that. Um, I wanted to get some more of these out of him. Um, talk about the buying pornography with county funds. I know
yeah.
you didn't think it was that good, but I think this is hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of stupid. I tried to cross it off and you're like, nah, that's good.
No,
I there were when K2 was a thing, like the synthetic weed, they sent me into this porn store where they were supposedly selling it.
K2 is that spice? Yeah, forgive my ignorance.
Like
Yeah,
spice salvia, or like
Yep.
in that kind of aspect.
It's like the altered marijuana or something, but it
Yeah.
wasn't showing up on tests, so a lot of army guys were smoking it and then like
uh,
spazzing out and
yeah,
being disasters. Um, like it wasn't having the weed effect. They were like throwing up and having issues. So they sent me into this store to do UC and like cop some K2 from this clerk that we got a complaint that he's selling it. So I go in and I like browse the porn store for a minute. And then I go up to the clerk and I don't remember what I said, but I was probably like, hey, y'all, I probably didn't say, do you have spice? But I felt them
yeah,
out. And he was like, oh no, like there was a dude up here selling drugs, but I fired him. Like I don't deal with that. He's gone. I was
yeah.
like, oh, okay. So I went and I got some porn. I got like Ready to Drop Volume 7. Like I got like some midget stuff, like short stuff gone wild or something. Just the wildest stuff I could find. And so I went up to the counter and I bought it. Like I had
Yeah.
money to buy spice. I probably already had it with me. And so like I was like, okay, well I'm still gonna get, what I
Yeah, you can't blow your cover.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't blow my cover. So
Maintain the cover always.
had to. So I get it and I leave and I tell my handler, I'm like, hey man, he said they don't sell dope anymore, but like I got some goods.
I'm good.
He got super pissed. He's like, you fucking idiot. Why'd you buy porn with the county's money? So we get back to the office and he throws them in the dumpster. It's like 2 or 3 DVDs. He throws them in the dumpster. He's cussing me out. So he throws them in the dumpster and I was cool with the lieutenant. So I went in his office. I was like, hey, sir, I told him what happened. And he was like, oh no, he's like, if you spent the county's money during as an investigative expenditure, he's
Yeah,
got to make a case file. He's got to log those into evidence.
yeah, that's evidence. You can't
What's
throw
that?
that in the trash.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I thought. I just didn't really understand what happened. So he ended up having to make a case for he didn't talk to me for like a week. He's kind
Yeah,
of done with me. But we're still friends. We talk periodically, so we got through our differences.
nice, nice. Um, I wanted to talk to you about your podcast too, and kind of what the direction of that is. Like, what are you? Yeah, tell us about that Leo guy, and what are some of the topics, and what's the focus of the podcast?
Yeah, so the focus is which by the way, there's actually an episode on undercover police work and an episode on plain clothes. And I almost brought it up, but I was like, I
Yeah,
don't want to overstep and just start talking about my show.
no, man, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. But yeah, it's basically I decided to create it for law enforcement. I don't want to say education because that's not really the idea. Education for brand new or prospective law enforcement to,
Hmm.
pick the right agency. I got stuff like, hey, if they're offering a $70,000 sign on, there might be a reason, because they don't keep
Yeah,
people. So simple stuff for, so people aren't just like, yay, I got a police job. And it's like, yeah, now you're stuck for 3 years or you owe the 70 grand back. That might
yeah,
be problematic. So but it's mostly for, you know, I'll say veteran being like 2 years and on, like
Yeah.
the job, but hopefully you're still learning.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of us get into habits of it's just how I do it. And like this is the way I've always done it.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
just to get people thinking about, is there a better way to
Uh-huh.
achieve a confession, or can I have a better understanding of the Fourth Amendment?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. If someone asks you the question, like, why do you do it that way? If your answer is that's the way we've always done it, then that means you don't know the answer.
Right. Exactly. Oh, or that's the way everybody in this unit does it. Like
Yeah.
you watch a homicide interview and they go in and like slap down the Miranda form and they're like, "All right, we finna talk and this is some paperwork we got to do. You're being recorded. I need to know your name and birthday." Like
Yeah.
probably not a great method.
Probably not getting a confession that day.
It's not looking great, and then you're gonna have a trial because they didn't confess. So my goal is to help people get ahead, decide where you want to be and try to help them figure out how to get there, be better at their job, and kind of just change people's mindset on, especially if we've all seen toxic cultures, whether people are spreading rumors or, the whole
Hmm.
shift is having sex with each other or whatever's going on. Am I lying? Like that stuff
No.
happens.
No.
And or the Red Dog unit in Atlanta that they all got indicted because they were like doing ghost warrants, like kind of how to not fall into stuff like that. So it's a multitude of topics. I've done some interviews with some fitness guys, if people's fitness aren't where they want to be, how to develop that, eating guides, sleeping and insomnia stuff that I've talked to you about.
Yeah.
Um, just all the stuff that Leos, hence that Leo guy, deal with. And shit, I did one on parenting. I don't even care. So
Nice.
do it all. So
What's
lots of
the what
mostly law enforcement topics, but also just some like general wellness.
what episodes did you do? Do you remember offhand for your UC stuff and the interview and interrogation? You remember
Yeah,
the
interview and interrogations. You say what are they called?
yeah? Which episodes were those?
Interview and interrogation, I believe, is called interview and interrogation. And I think the UC one is called like undercover ops broken down.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought they were numbered. Sorry. So
I numbered them very badly. So I was doing
yeah,
like I'm
us
not
too.
I'm like the only podcaster that's probably never really listened to a podcast.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm not really into it. So um I started doing like season one, season one episode, and then changed seasons, and I just wasn't consistent with it. So they're basically just kind of splattered on there.
Nice.
Like I might have interview one with career homicide prosecutor Christy Barker, and then 5 episodes before interview two with her. I don't think I've even uploaded interview two with her. So it's kind of all over the place. So you got to just kind of find
Yeah.
where you want to be.
Yeah. What is how do we find it like for people and we'll link to it in the description for this episode so people can pull it up. But what
Yeah,
do
so it's called That Leo Guy. And there is also a Facebook page that you can follow, and it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I think iHeartRadio, I think.
okay.
But when I
Nice.
share it to my friends and family, I usually just do Apple Podcasts
Yeah.
or Spotify.
Yeah. And it's audio only. Yeah. We don't show your face on any of it.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, since I'm still working, I had to get it approved to even do that. And just to simplify, I said, you know what, I won't show my face.
Yeah,
Nice.
that makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um,
It's me not naming my current agency, so they can't really get mad at me for something I say when I'm like, they don't even know where I work, bro. They know
yeah.
where I used to work.
Talk about the uh the does it get hard when you smoke?
So I always had crappy cars because I was the main undercover guy. So other guys would be in, a nice F-150. We were in the South, so everybody wants a truck, right? So they'd be
Yeah.
in like a nice F-150 Harley Davidson. We had all these seizures, and they're riding these sweet cars. I'm riding I had like a beat up white F-150 for a while. I had an
Yeah.
old silver Altima, just cars you would expect, normal cars, So
I used to say that all the time about we get like money to buy a new UC car and they like spend like $50,000 on a brand new whatever it is. And I'm like, man, we could just take that money and get like 20 like shit boxes from the tow yard. Like,
Yeah,
Oh
can we
yeah,
get 20
easy.
Kias?
yeah, we could do so much more with that too. Plus, if you wreck one, like, who cares? You know, like,
Yeah, we can't blend in that chromed out Harley truck, but it's all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
They loved it, and then they were take home cars, so that they
Oh, that makes sense.
non crappy cars at the house. So this we seized this black Lexus IS 250 on like 22s with this crazy sound system in the trunk, like 215s or something, like this huge box in the trunk, which I ended up taking out because I wanted trunk space.
Yeah,
And it was like,
yeah,
the music problem. So I'm trying to do surveillance in this thing right after I got it. And I pull up in this neighborhood and I'm like sitting at the end of the block. They always sell drugs down the street, they sell crack. And I'm sitting there at the curb. Usually nobody would even look twice. Like cars are always pulling up and then they'll pull off. Nobody cares. So I pull up and this girl comes walking from down the street. She walks right up to my car. She's like, roll it down, roll it down. So I roll it down. She's like, and I looked bad at the time. I had my big beard, so I didn't look like the police. So hence her reaction of, hey, are you the police? Because you're scaring the dope boys down the street. And I was like, nah. I said, I hit the curb. I was like, you see the wheels? I hit the curb and it fucked up my alignment a little bit. Like it's not sitting right. So my friend's about to come out and we're gonna try to fix his wheel and figure out why it's like pulling left. And she was like, oh, all right. Well, if you ever need anything, find me. And I was like, oh, you usually out here? She's like, yeah, I'm always out here. I was like, all right, I'm gonna find you later. Just let me deal with this shit, see what's going on. I said, I might be in my truck because this shit ain't driving right. She was like, that's cool. I was just checking because they're all scared. I was like, nah, it's good. Go about your life. So I wait a few minutes. When I see them not looking, like once they were all out of sight, I pulled off and I called my boss right after that. I was like, hey, I got one on the hook. Like, we about to buy some crack over here
yeah,
from this girl. So she didn't give me her number or anything. She just told me she's out there. So I go back to the office. I get the truck. Takedown team loads up in their two vehicles or whatever. I pull back down. This time I pull down the actual street. I'm not on like the adjacent street that runs perpendicular. I like pull down the street and she's out there. She's like, "Hey, baby." She hops in and she gets some crack or whatever, and then she comes and gets back in the car. Make the deal. She comes and gets in the car, but she's still got the crack. She hasn't handed it to me yet. And I drive off, and then she starts getting nervous. She's like, "Hey, are you sure you're not the police?" I was like, "Come on, bro." I was like, "Let's go back to my apartment. I'll show you I'm not the police." You hear me? And she was like, "Oh, well, let me see your dick if you're not the police." And I was like, I so I didn't really care. I'm like driving, so I like pull it out and show it to her, and she reaches over to grab it. And I knocked her hand away. I was like, hell no. I was like, let's get in the apartment. Like, I'm trying to get in there and smoke. And she was looking at it. She was like, does that thing get hard when you smoke? Because I'm trying to fuck. And I was like, oh, you don't even know. Like, I'm gonna show you. And so
Oh
I kept
shit.
trying to get her to give me the crack because I mean, you haven't been around a lot of crack, but they'll eat it in a heartbeat. And I've
oh yeah,
never seen them die. They just don't feel good, or they'll just throw it. And if you throw $40 worth of crack, like that's hard to find.
it's hard to, yeah,
Yeah. So it's gone, and then you have no case. Like she just says, like, oh, it wasn't crack. And I'm like, yeah, it was. And you can't test it, and so it's gone. So I'm trying to get her to give it to me. I'm like, let me see it. I want to make sure it's not crush and bust. Like it's not gonna fall apart in my hand. I want to make sure it's that hard, hard.
yeah.
And so she finally gives me like one little rock. She's got the rest of it. And so I give the takedown and pull up in front of some apartments. She's like, "You live here?" I was like, "Yeah." And then they come arrest her or whatever. But yeah, she had to inspect the goods before
Yeah,
making
yeah.
the deal.
Man, I hope that you're a grower, not a shower.
Yeah, right.
Nice,
Yeah, if
nice.
she'd have said that, we would have. I couldn't have that played in court. We'd have just.
No, no, yeah. we're gonna plea this one out.
Yeah.
Nice. I wanted to get one more um, before we wrap. Let's do the food stamp butt drugs. That sounds like my kind of story.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I made some not so great choices back in the day, but it does relate to human intel collection, which
Yep.
is what I like to do. Is I would talk to the crack dealers. I talk to everybody.
Hmm.
If you can't tell from this show, like I'm fine with hearing myself talk. So
Yeah.
I would go I'd take my breaks in these crack motels and just back in. And people would like, sometimes they'd like jump into creeks. And then I'd just sit there and eat my lunch on the back of my car and they'd come back wet and talk to me, whatever. So there was this dude, this crack dealer in the area that went by food stamp. Probably because he took food stamps in trade for crack, but I never
Yeah.
really asked him. But
Yeah.
he was known to be a crack dealer. I didn't jack him up all the time. I knew I'd probably searched him a couple times, but I knew he didn't really keep it on him. So I'll just talk to him when I saw him out in the world or whatever. So he got stabbed in the stomach one time. I talked to him about that. He said that some dude had been smoking crack and had suddenly flipped out and looked at him with crazy eyes and said, "Now I got to kill you." And then stabbed him in the stomach. And
Yeah.
he was like, "Man, I ran for my life, and then I ran across the street and I hid under this trailer, and then whatever." So he would like show me the staples in his stomach and all that. He had like 50 staples or something running down his gut.
Yeah.
One day I'm driving through this neighborhood called Lamarville, and food stamp was never, he was always on Highway 17. He was never anywhere else. And I see food stamp walking out of these projects right next to the ones I got robbed in, actually. It's like the adjacent apartment. And I see him walking out, and he sees the police car coming down the street and goes up on a porch. And I was like, look at food stamp. What's he doing out here? So I pull up, and this lady comes out, and I'm like, hey, do you know him? I know what he was doing. He was not going to try to go inside or act like he lived there, so I just drive on by. I was like, food stamp, come down here, man. What are you doing? Why are you on this lady's porch? So she comes out. She's like, I don't know him. I'm like, all right, cool. So I get him down by the car. I'm like, you mind if I, pat you down? So I get a consent to search on him. So I'm searching him. I run my hand up his backside, and I feel this lump sticking out from his butt.
Oh yeah.
So I handcuff him. And yeah, if you've policed for a while, you've either found butt drugs or you've missed butt drugs.
Hmm.
People do
Yep.
it. So I feel the lump, handcuff him, and I'm like, hey, man, if you want to get that out, you can. Like, I really don't want to get that out, but I know that's not part of your body. And he's like, all right, I'll get that out, Leo. I'll get that out. So he's like handcuffed behind his back. So he like, I think he had basketball shorts on. He like reaches down and pulls out, it's like a half ounce of weed or ounce of weed. And he throws it on the trunk of my police car. And it's got like a brown stain on the
Yeah.
back.
Oh.
It's got some
And
peanut
so-
butter on it.
Yeah, sure. One of my partners that I didn't really like that much pulled up and he's like, hey, you good? What you got? I was like, oh man, he's got some good weed, man. Smell that shit. So he grabs it and takes a sniff. He's like, oh, that's nasty. He didn't see the little streak on it. He was like, oh, that's nasty, man. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, that was up his ass a second ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So the worst is when you have them take it out and they go straight from pulling it out to eating it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know what?
that's rock bottom.
That's that's what rock bottom. Hey, that was like such a common thing. I don't see it very as often these days, but like when the crack epidemic was big in our area, like, and I've told this before, we had a CI when I was working gangs, and we sent him into a house to do a control buy, and he takes the money, he goes in, he comes back out, and when he comes back, gets in the van with us, he reaches in his mouth and he pulls the crack out of his mouth and he hands it to us. And so we're debriefing him on what he saw, who's holding it and everything. And he tells us like the description of the guy who's holding the crack. And we ask him where he keeps it. And he's like, oh, he keeps it in his ass.
Mm.
It's like,
And you just stuck it in your mouth. That's
he
amazing.
just pulled it out of his mouth, and like for him, that was just normal, like normal crackhead behavior. It's not even things they think about.
Yep.
But
I had a CI that I would go with him on buys, and he would take the rock and either tuck it in his lip or just rub it on his lip. And he said it made his face go numb or whatever. So if
Yeah.
it wasn't good crack, he'd give it back. He'd be like, this is bullshit. My face isn't even numb.
yeah, oh, smart little street test.
He was a thinker.
Nice. All right, Leo, thank you for coming out and talking to us.
Thank you.
Or not coming out, I guess, zooming with us. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and stay frosty.